interesting program is unfolding in Greater Cincinnati, the Miami University Center for Community Engagement, located in Over the Rhine. Hello, I'm Kathy Lair. The Center for Community Engagement represents the collaboration between the School of Fine Arts at Miami University and community groups within the inner city neighborhood of Over the Rhine. How does this collaboration work? What is its overall mission and its importance to the community? Those questions will be explored today on Focus. Our guest, Thomas Dutton, Professor and Director of the Miami University Center for Community Engagement. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
What was the idea behind establishing this center in Over the Rhine?
It's a good question. Let me go back and explain some of the history to it. For a few years now, since 97, 98, the Department of Architecture and Interior Design in Miami has been working very carefully and closely with the Over the Rhine Housing Network in Over the Rhine. And the network's mission is to try and put its housing stock back online for low and moderate income people. And what we have been doing is something that's called design build. And this is kind of a hot topic in architectural education, but for architecture students, you could see how this is an exciting thing because students get to design out a space and then they have to act on that design and construct it, build it. And we have been doing this consistently since the 97-98 academic year. And it's the most inefficient way of doing design build, quite frankly, but what we do is we jump in the cars every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. At 1 o'clock, we drive the 50-minute to an hour drive down here, and then we work on these buildings 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And it's been quite a learning experience for the students. They learn about their architectural skills, and like I said, they have to carry through on those designs. But we learn by doing that there's all kinds of other areas of community need that we are not beginning to touch. I mean, perhaps the pedagogy of the hammer can only go so far. Mm-hmm. And so the idea of trying to do something that tries to be interdisciplinary, get other folks on the campus, colleagues and friends of mine, people from economics, political science, geography, education, the arts, to begin to want to teach courses down here. The hope is that their scholarship is going to change by being engaged with community groups and community leaders. Their teaching is going to change by going through that kind of experience. And this will be a fabulous experience, of course, for students.
Why Over the Rhine? Why the decision to locate it there?
Well, some of that is personal. My involvement with Over the Rhine dates back to 1981 because I'm a person that's interested in questions that deal with equitable development. I was interested in trying to connect with a community where I was at first admittedly attracted by the architecture. I mean, as an architect and from the West Coast, I'm from Los Angeles where a lot of things are made out of stucco. I was completely enamored by the brick and the detail and the streetscapes and the contiguous nature of the buildings along the street. And that was my first attraction, but I was also interested in questions of social justice, equitable development. How do you begin to, preserve areas like an Over the Rhine? And Over the Rhine is unique, of course, but it's also similar to all kinds of other so-called inner cities across the nation. So I was interested in trying to connect with community groups that were interested in preserving and desiring to bring about growth and development in the area, but not at their expense, not at their having to move to someplace else because rents rise, property values rise, and they can't afford to live there. So I've been interested and I've been involved and had a close affiliation with certain neighborhood groups since about 1981.
Talk to me about some of the projects your students have been involved in at Over the Rhine.
We, as I mentioned, we started in the 97, 98 era, and kinds of projects that I could list them, that we have helped to put online 2 single-family homes for the Over the Rhine house. All this is housing network property, except for our storefront or our Center for Community Engagement, which is our landlord there is Restock. So we have put together 2 single-family homes. We have put together 2...
When you mean put together?
Well, the process works in this way. we take a look at a property to see about its educational value, what can students bring to this project to carry through with innovations in design, and how can they begin to build this out. It sounds very banal in a way, like this past couple of years we've been working at one particular building, and there's been a group that's been working on the bathroom this entire time. And, but you will see in the footage that it's a very interesting looking bathroom.
Describe it.
It has a sink that is custom. The students were adamant that they didn't want to have a basic vanity, and so they figured out a way to construct that and to hang it off the wall. They did all the tiling on the floor. They figured out all the shelving system, and they figured out the lighting system, which is all fairly unique. And they designed and built that all out. In the kitchen, for example, students did an evaluation of the kind of cabinets that you could buy at various entities around the tri-state and decided that they could build them better themselves, and so they did that. They have concrete countertops.
What type of countertops?
Concrete countertops.
Concrete,
Yeah,
like concrete, like on a playground, that kind of concrete.
Yes, right. They were very interested in trying to see what that means and how would it happen, and you just kind of get out of the way and let them go after it. And it came out to be very, very nice. They also figured out all the colors, and they figured out the lighting system, and they figured out the shelving system as well. There's an open shelving system, and there are some more of your basic cabinets, and all of that was designed and built by the students.
Now, what happens with this house?
Well, this house, when originally, I think, was thought to be, for low and moderate income folks, and probably rental. But as it has come out, there has been some talk with Mary Burke, the business manager of the Overland Rhine Housing Network, the possibility of thinking about this house or this unit as an example for low, moderate income home ownership. Now, that means that the building that it's in would have to change legally, and I'm not quite sure exactly what that all means, but some investigation might occur in that regard to see if we can't condoize the building so that building could be sold off for a family, in the low, moderate income housing range.
What is your role in all of this, Tom? Teacher, leader, worker?
Well, I am a teacher, and I teach this studio not alone. I teach, this past year, I've been teaching with John Blake, who is my colleague, and he works part-time and teaches part-time. And his role in this is indispensable. We split. We have a nice working relationship where we don't duplicate what we're doing, but in a sense, the way that the operation works is that I'll have and John and I will have about 15, 16 students per semester. They have to generate a budget in terms of what they want to do. They have to come up with designs for how they want to transform the kitchen or bathroom or the front room or the stairs. And then, like I said, generate a budget, and then they have to work within that. And if they feel like they want to go beyond that, they have to go pound the pavement and try and find for donations or material suppliers that will give, materials to them at a cheaper cost and those kinds of things. And this is all very carefully worked out with the staff of the Overland Rhine Housing Network. And the pay, the money, how this happens, the funding support for this.
For the basic work.
Yeah, it's been a combination of Miami. My dean and my chair have been very supportive of this project, and there have been some money for bricks and mortar, and also the Overland Rhine Housing Network has been flipping the bill as well.
What is the feedback from the community as a whole about your work in Over the Rhine?
I think it's taken very positively. When we were working at the Center for Community Engagement, that is on the corner of 13th and Vine, we're like in a fishbowl there. So when we were going on, there's people always walking by on the streets, always coming in asking us what's going on.
What are you doing now?
Yeah, what are you doing now? What are you doing here? What's this going to be? This is very interesting. And some of the local establishments right across the street on the corner is a little grocery mart and stuff. He comes on over and sometimes gives us free drinks. Last summer when we were working really hard in the summertime, hot and all, he came on over, gave us free drinks, and was very excited about what was happening here. And So we have I think we have a pretty good rapport. This is also one of the reasons why we wanted to try and get the center into other areas beyond just design build. So like when, sociologists are coming down, bringing their students and engaging the community with research that the community can actually need, then you get a situation where more people are going to know more about what is in fact happening.
What about the students when they find out that, well, we're not going to do the traditional classroom type of exposure to a project, we're actually going to go to the Over the Rhine and work things out? What kind of reaction do you get from them?
You get all kinds of interesting reactions. Some are looking very forward to this. With the architecture and interior design students, the fact that we've been doing this since, a number of years now, has developed a track record, and it is now known, and a lot of people, when they sign up for this kind of studio, know what they're getting into, and from their colleagues from before have something, they know what to expect to some degree. But I will still say that for many of them, it's still kind of a shock coming down to an environment like this. I mean, many of my students come from suburban and small town backgrounds, where engaging a community of color has not been part of their normal everyday experience. So there's a little bit of apprehension and clarity, like, but in time, I think that there's an acceptance of what's going on, a greater awareness and understanding. But then again, which is why the center is supposed to be coming about, is that hopefully we can begin to address that more deeply. Oftentimes coming down Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're in, you're out, and you have to spend all that time kind of designing and constructing, and there isn't sometimes enough time to engage other community folks and so forth. You do develop some relationships with the people right around the buildings. They see us come in and out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and so they often engage us and see what's going on. Some of them come on in, and we had a big open house at the end of the year to try and show everybody what we've been doing. That was primarily for Miami students, and put the word out for community leaders and so forth. But still, people came across the street, wanted to see what was going on, and try.
How does a program such as this one enrich the students when they graduate, when they walk away from this? What are you hoping that they take with them?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think what I am interested in doing is trying to base their learning in an experiential model by placing them here and bringing them here in a controlled environment. It's not like come down here and go crazy, but you come down here, and by engaging real life, real community leaders, real institutions who have certain kinds of visions about how they see the community and how they want the community to be. The one group that gets transformed the most by this are the students. Like I said, they come from backgrounds that are not like this. And so hopefully we begin to hit stereotypes, cliches. Why are people standing around on the corner? What's going on here? Why do people look idle? And we begin to try and take all that apart, unpack all that, and try and begin to understand why Over the Rhine is the way that it is. What's its 50-year history? What has been the relationship of federal housing law and programs, suburbanization, what's been the impact of urban renewal, what's been the impact of the globalization of the economy. All of those things have had some effect on why Over the Rhine is the way that it is today. So we try and, but it is much better to do that here, because then you could, any book learning, any reading of articles and talking about them up there at Miami, that's all good, but there's something hopefully happens differently when it happens here, and they tie that experience to that book learning.
Greater Cincinnati, of course, has attracted much local, national attention regarding our racial problems. How does a program such as the one that you're working, can you see any benefit at all to what happened back then to where we are now in terms of how your group interacts with the community?
Well, what I hope happens through this center by people from all kinds of disciplines, not just art and architecture and interior design, but that people with expertise can begin, academic expertise, scholarship expertise, can engage in a activist scholarship kind of model. There are so many things that need to be looked at carefully here as a way to understand why Over the Rhine continues in a certain kind of way. And how do you do equitable development? How might Over the Rhine become a model for the rest of the nation in terms of questions of social justice, police community relations, and those kinds of things? I think that what the center's trying to do is try and bridge teaching, research, and the community organizing that's going on in the community. So it's hopeful that community leaders of institutions might actually be involved in working with professors to try and generate the knowledge of the course or the content of the course, and that in a sense, faculty will become the head of their research teams where students engage community, and while they will be transformed and faculty will be transformed in their learning, the quid pro quo has to be there, and that is, this is not just done for students and faculty, but hopefully community learning goes up as well.
We mentioned the community, we've mentioned the students. What's been the reaction among the faculty?
I think the reaction of the faculty when I have been trying to peddle this on the campus is quite exciting. I think there are, many of my colleagues are saying, yes, this is the way to go. Certainly within, campuses across the nation, the term service learning is a very hot term at the moment. And so, this particular center has the support of a lot of programs and entities on my campus. There are the School of Fine Arts, the College of Arts and Science, the School of Interdisciplinary Studies, Miami Liberal Educational Program, the Honors Program, Black World Studies, the Center for American and World Culture. All these entities have bought in to this and would like to see the center, advance and become, a daily fixture down here.
Is the funding piece of this a problem at all?
No, I mentioned I've had terrific support from my dean and from my chair, and we are going to try and find, sources of money to keep this going for the future. I just did receive a seed grant from the university to help in that regard, to put us operational and to allow us to go off and try and find other grant sources and things like that. And we're pursuing that now.
I'm back on the concrete countertops. Did the students do all of this work themselves, all the construction work?
Yes, they did.
Everything?
Yes.
That's amazing.
And it happens under a supervised environment. I'm there. John Blake is there. Bodie, the construction manager at the Over the Rhine Housing Network, comes in often, and everything is shared with him, including designs and so forth. His input, which is totally invaluable. I mean, it's just things that we miss. He being out there every day and having the construction experience that he has been very valuable. And so, but yes, it's pretty much a student show.
What are some of the other aspects that students are involved in? I've heard talk about the mosaic
Yes.
that the students are working on. Talk a little bit about that.
The Mosaic Project, it's now into its second phase. Basically, we're at the end of phase one, which was called the People's Mosaic Project. And this is a collaboration that's coming out of artist Suzanne Fisher, who is a ceramicist, a mosaic artist, working with the Peaslee Neighborhood Center. Brenda Zeckmeister there is the lead there, and working with Michelle Markert, who is the Director of Community Education at Art Academy, and myself in Miami. And it's been largely their game, but they're using the space of the center, but they're using the space in the center in exactly in the way that I envision this. This is about using art, not only for beautification, but by having young and old come on in, working on mosaics, it becomes a community building tool.
What do we see? What kinds of
This
things
is
are we
actually
talking about?
taking the form of a park bench.
Okay.
That will be in Washington Park, and as we speak now, as I understand it, some of the excavation has been done. But this is going to be a fairly large park bench. It will be in the part of the park that is perhaps across the street, more or less directly from Memorial Hall. So it's on that side of the park, down from Music Hall. And it's quite a large thing, and for all this past spring, from about January to now, young and old people within Over the Rhine have been doing mosaics. It's been the community's design.
Is there a theme behind this?
Yes, it's I have a dream for peace, and youngsters have been coming in and working with Suzanne on a daily basis, and they have been, they've done all kinds of things. So she's very good with them, and that they, while she will help them, like, there's certain things that this won't work in terms of the design, but the designs came out of a whole series of community meetings, around this theme to try and give form to that theme. I have a dream for peace. And so this will very shortly take form, and now they're into the second phase, which is going to be continuing on with ceramics as the mode, and looking for other sites in the neighborhood. Working on small stepping stones now, perhaps might engage Imagination Alley, which is nearly across the street from us on Vine Street. And out of these smaller engagements, something larger will form, and next spring, next January through next year, a larger project will take form. That's not clear just yet exactly what that is, but idea is right. Got to let it bubble up.
Now, the students actually did the renovation on the center itself, didn't they?
Yes. And that was a space. Geez, when did we start that? That's been a few years now, because we've been officially using the center this past year, and like I said, we're very happy that the Mosaic project is involved there. And we're likely, as the Architecture and Interior Design Department, going to be using that center this fall more directly. But yeah, that was a space that we had to design and build out. It was, so everything, we got all the paint, all the details. It was really a very detailed-oriented renovation, because most of the space was all there. The electrical was in, except that we had to put in bathrooms, the classroom, and followed all the codes and got all the inspections.
What challenges do you face?
In terms of running such a studio, or
exactly.
It makes me grayer. It wears on you. I have a tremendous respect for contractors now, in the sense of how do you organize the job site, how do you keep people busy, how do you, that isn't too hard, but how do you get them into situations where they're learning. We get a range of construction experiences. This past semester we had some people with some very good skills, and other people who have never held a paintbrush, So, and then by the end, in some way or another, some of them, all of them get accomplished in something, and so you have to try and balance the job site to make sure that someone isn't doing the same thing day after day after day, that there's some rotation of skills and those kinds of things. And just making sure that we try and get things done in a timely manner. As I mentioned earlier, trying to do this on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday basis is not very efficient. And we would like to go to a 40-hour week or a 5-day-a-week kind of basis, where classes and the design-build activity would, happen every day to some degree.
What are your other goals for the future, other than expanding the time you would spend there? What projects?
Well, there's this idea about getting other professors and other disciplines involved is really, this year is when we're going to really start orchestrating that and getting that in line. There's been the commitment by several people on my campus, and also people from other campuses that expressed an interest to be involved. So that now needs to be orchestrated and just plain figured out, like who can do it during what teaching schedule, when and how, and what's going to be the project, and how does it mesh with what other people are doing, and so forth. But that's the great challenge. And then also how that mixes with, community need, where the community is at this particular point, what kinds of areas of research do they think they would need in order to be better prepared to deal with the questions that are before them. So all this is a big intermixed collaboration, if that's not a redundancy in terms.
Because the need does change.
Yes,
over the years. What we needed 2 years ago is not really what Greater Cincinnati needs today.
Yeah.
Big picture, in 10 years, where do you hope to be with this project?
Wow, that's
10 years.
10 years. Well, we hope to be a presence. We hope to have an institutional presence. Hope to have been able to affect the debate about the future of a place like Over the Rhine. And by that don't only mean architecture, but urban planning and police community relations, economic development, and all of it. So that, and we think that we have something that we could really bring to bear here. Really bring some engaged scholarship to bear here about how the community understands itself, how we understand teaching, what the model is for the future. So, whoa, 10 years. God, I'm just trying to get through the first year. Right, yeah.
Thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciated. Want to find out more about this or other focus programs? WCET has a website you can check for information, or you can watch previous episodes of Focus online. That website address is www.wcet.org/focus. We welcome your comments by email, or you can call us at 513-345-6522. On our next Focus program, we'll welcome the new city manager of Cincinnati, Valerie Lemmy, to this program. We'll talk with her about her vision of the city and what she would like to see accomplished in order to achieve that vision. Please join us on WCET 48, Thursday, June 27th at 7:30 p.m. I'm Kathy Lair, and we'll see you next time right here on Focus.